The modern agricultural matrix has successfully trapped the average gardener in a cycle of perpetual biological rent. Every single spring, you are conditioned to drive to a commercial garden center, open your wallet, and purchase fragile annual vegetables and delicate greenhouse herbs that are biologically programmed to die in 6 months. The multinational seed conglomerates and synthetic fertilizer corporations love the annual garden model because it guarantees that your food supply completely self-destructs at the first sign of frost, forcing you back into the retail checkout line year after year. This is not how your ancestors achieved food sovereignty. They did not have the disposable income to repurchase their entire garden every spring. Instead, they relied on a highly sophisticated $0 biological loophole, the perennial food forest. They cultivated specific, deep-rooted botanical armor that only needed to be planted once in a lifetime. These plants establish massive subterranean root networks, automatically survive brutal winter freezes, and violently erupt back to life every single spring, providing dense, medicine-grade nutrition for decades without a single drop of chemical intervention. When you plant a perennial, you are not just growing food, you are building permanent generational wealth into your topsoil. Today we are stripping away the commercial annual illusion. We are breaking down the exact biochemistry, the botanical architecture, and the ancestral varieties of 10 unstoppable perennial herbs you can put in the ground right now to permanently sever your reliance on the grocery store. The multi-billion-dollar garden retail industry relies entirely on your biological amnesia. They need you to forget these foundational, permanent earth sciences so you remain perpetually trapped in their seasonal subscription model of dependency. If you want to pull these verifiable, hyper-resilient blueprints out of the history books and deploy them on your own land, hit that subscribe button and join the Grounded Harvest Network right now before this video is completely suppressed by corporate algorithms. By subscribing, you are refusing to let centralized retail conglomerates gatekeep the biological tools required for true independence. Secure your connection to our network now and let us dive directly into the deep-rooted survival greens. To build a permanent food system, you must start with genetics that physically alter the structure of your soil. These first three herbs do not just survive the winter, they actively thrive on neglect and mine nutrients from deep within the Earth's crust. Number 1. Lovage Lovasticum officinale. This is the ultimate forgotten ancestral survival crop. Lovage operates as a massive, towering perennial vegetable that tastes exactly like celery but packs a deeply concentrated, savory flavor. While commercial celery requires massive amounts of water, synthetic nitrogen, and perfect weather to survive, lovage grows a subterranean taproot the size of a tree branch. Once established, it can easily live for 25 years, towering at 6 feet tall and providing heavy, continuous yields of stalks and leaves from early spring until the killing frost. Number 2. French sorrel Rumex scutatus. When the winter breaks, your body requires immediate vitamin-dense cellular nutrition. Sorrel is historically one of the very first edible plants to physically push its way through the melting snow. It produces bright green, deeply rooted leaves packed with oxalic acid and vitamin C, giving it a sharp, intense lemon flavor. You plant this once in a shady, forgotten corner of your yard, and it will effortlessly provide a sharp citrus flavor profile to your meals for decades without any maintenance. Number 3. Ancestral chives Allium scoinoprasum. Do not buy weak, overpriced plastic clamshells of chives from the grocery store. This cold hardy allium is practically indestructible. When planted in the earth, its root bulb exponentially multiplies every single season. You can chop a patch of chives completely down to the dirt in the middle of summer, and it will aggressively regenerate a fresh canopy of onion-flavored greens in 14 days. Furthermore, the purple blossoms act as an early-season biological beacon, drawing native pollinators to your yard before your summer crops even germinate. Think about the sheer biological leverage of a crop that outlives your household appliances. You are investing $3 into a seed packet today to secure a 20-year pipeline of raw culinary and medicinal power. This is how the matrix loses its grip, when you realize that permanent food security does not require a corporate subscription, it requires strategic botany. If this realization shifts your perspective on backyard self-reliance, take 1 second right now to hit that subscribe button. When you join Grounded Harvest, you directly fund the preservation of these non-industrial blueprints. Hit subscribe to stand against the manipulation and let us transition into the medicinal powerhouses. Your perennial garden must do more than flavor your food, it must actively defend your cellular health. These specific Mediterranean genetics evolved in brutal, rocky, drought-stricken environments, making them uniquely armed with potent essential oils. Number 4. Greek oregano, Oreganum vulgare hirtum. This is not a delicate culinary garnish. True Greek oregano is an aggressive, creeping perennial that contains massive concentrations of carvacrol and thymol, two of the most highly documented natural antibacterial and antifungal compounds on the planet. Once established, its shallow, spreading root system acts as a living mulch, locking moisture into your soil while providing you with a permanent, regenerating apothecary that physically suppresses soil-borne diseases. Number 5. Common sage, Salvia officinalis. During the heavy, dark days of winter, ancestral homesteaders relied on sage to properly digest heavy, preserved fats and proteins. Sage develops an incredibly dense, woody base that allows it to survive temperatures well below freezing. In milder climates, it remains completely evergreen, allowing you to walk out in a snowstorm, brush off the ice, and harvest thick, resinous leaves packed with neuroprotective compounds. Number 6. Creeping thyme, Thymus serpillum. Stop fighting the weeds in your pathways and let nature do the heavy lifting. Creeping thyme is a low-profile, drought-proof botanical armor that forms a dense, suffocating mat over bare dirt. It aggressively crowds out opportunistic weeds, requires absolutely zero fertilizer, and produces a massive flush of edible, highly medicinal leaves that can be harvested by simply walking barefoot across your garden and letting the friction release the volatile oils. We have officially crossed the midpoint of this breakdown, and the protocol is entirely clear. True agricultural sovereignty requires a conscious commitment to mastering the permanent living systems of the earth. If you are ready to walk away from corporate retail dependency and build a garden that outlives you, hit that subscribe button right now. By subscribing to Grounded Harvest, you ensure that this $0 non-industrial wisdom is passed down to the next generation of free thinkers. Tap that subscribe button to officially join our network today, and let us decode the aggressive spreaders you must strategically contain. To build an indestructible food forest, you must employ genetics that absolutely refuse to die. These plants are so biologically aggressive that your only job is telling them where to stop. Number 7. Peppermint Mentha piperita. The modern agricultural industry tries to sell you digestive aids and stomach medications, completely ignoring the fact that peppermint physically relaxes the gastrointestinal tract and actively treats nausea. Peppermint propagates through aggressive underground runners called rhizomes. It is so relentless that you should never plant it directly in your primary garden bed, or it will consume the entire space. Plant it in an isolated, sunken container or a dedicated border trench, and it will yield massive harvests of medicinal foliage every single year until the end of time. Number 8. French tarragon, Artemisia dracuncaeolus. True French tarragon is a botanical anomaly because it is completely sterile. It does not produce viable seed. It has survived for centuries strictly through human-assisted root division. This incredibly valuable herb produces an intense, sweet anise flavor and thrives in the absolute poorest, rockiest, most depleted soil on your property. It actively resents rich compost and heavy watering, making it the perfect low-maintenance perennial for marginal land. Number 9. Winter Savory, Satureia montana. While summer savory is a fragile annual, winter savory is an absolute tank. It forms a dense, woody subshrub that actively shatters compacted earth with its roots. It possesses a sharp, biting, peppery flavor that ancestral cooks used as a zero-cost substitute for expensive imported black pepper. It is heavily armed against deer and rabbits, making it the ultimate perimeter defense plant for your sovereign homestead. If you have stayed with me this far, you belong to our high-retention inner circle. You are not surfing the internet for superficial entertainment. You are actively hunting for the unfiltered scientific realities required to break entirely free from the commercial food system. You have successfully processed the advanced mechanics of perennial root systems, and you have earned the final stage of this broadcast. Reward your dedication and support our work by hitting that subscribe button right now. We need disciplined, independent minds like yours anchored to our infrastructure to keep this raw earth science alive. Hit subscribe to lock in your spot within our tribe and let us look at the ultimate ancestral root weapon. The final plant on this list is not just an herb, it is a profound chemical defense mechanism that operates deep underground, far away from the reach of surface frost or drought. Number 10. Horseradish, Armoricea rusticana. If you want to understand true biological resilience, you plant horseradish. This massive perennial sends a fleshy, white taproot incredibly deep into the subsoil. When the root tissue is crushed or grated, it combines two isolated cellular compounds, sinigrin and the enzyme myrosinase, to instantly create allyl isothiocyanate. This is a highly volatile defensive mustard oil that naturally clears human sinuses, stimulates the immune system, and acts as a powerful antimicrobial agent. You plant a single root cutting in the corner of your yard today, and 20 years from now, you will still be digging up thick, pungent, medicine-grade roots from that exact same spot. It is the ultimate generational survival crop. We have reached the absolute end of this disclosure, and the choice rests entirely with you. You can step away from this screen, return to the commercial loop, and continue paying massive agricultural conglomerates for the right to rent your food supply every single spring, or you can draw a definitive line in the sand today. Secure your permanent place in the Grounded Harvest Underground network by hitting that subscribe button right now before this video concludes. Do not risk losing your connection to these unadulterated blueprints of permanent independence. By subscribing in these final moments, you're casting a direct vote for absolute physical autonomy, decentralized food production, and real biological literacy. Take definitive action, tap that subscribe button, and secure your position in our sovereign tribe right now. Reclaiming your status as a self-reliant producer starts the very moment you refuse to buy into the synthetic annual illusion. You do not need to fight the soil every spring. You do not need to constantly turn the earth with gas-powered machinery and replace the exact same dead plants year after year. This week, look at the bare corners of your property. Look at the poor, rocky soil that the commercial garden centers told you was useless. Source a root crown of horseradish, a division of true French tarragon, or a packet of lovage seeds. Break the earth once, establish the roots, and let the ancient, unstoppable mechanics of the perennial kingdom take completely over. The centralized food syndicates spent the last century trying to convince us that human survival is a high-cost, high-labor commodity that completely resets every winter. They wanted us to believe that without their yearly intervention, the earth would fail to yield. But their narrative is a complete biological failure. The fundamental laws of perennial root architecture remain completely unalterable, and the $0 physics of localized, permanent nutrition are waiting to be deployed by anyone who has the courage to step off the corporate grid. You hold the absolute power to build an indestructible generational food supply right now, with your own two hands from the deep roots up. Welcome to Grounded Harvest. Your agricultural sovereignty begins today.